Right, so I'd like to start this basically. My name's Gavin. I'm here with Greg from the Man and Women's Project. Basically, there's a video I saw on Facebook not so long ago, and it involved a young working girl being abused by an older man in Walsall, and it's posted on a thing called the Wall of Comedy, and a lot of people were basically laughing about it, finding it humorous and stuff, which I strongly sort of went against. So I did a little video in response to that, just saying that I don't think it's very fair and very responsible of these people to be posting it. If that was someone's mum, someone's daughter, etc., they wouldn't, be happy with it. So basically, I've done a bit of research and found Greg basically in Walsall. I'm going to hand over to Greg now just to let him explain basically what the Manor Women's Project is and basically what they do. So over to you, Greg.
Hi there. My name's Greg. My name's Robert Gregory, but everyone calls me Greg. I am the co-founder of the Manor Women's Project in Walsall, and basically what we do, we look after female residents, 15, who are experiencing drug problems and who are trying to give up drugs. 3 of our spaces are for pregnant mums who are also having problems with drugs.
And what's your background and why did you decide to get involved with this line of work?
My background is I've been looking after vulnerable people for 30 odd years, of which the last 13 we've specialised in looking after females who are experiencing drug problems. The reason why myself and my partner got involved with this is because the place that we were running, the Manor Project, was looking after all sorts of people with problems. Homeless people, you name it, we were looking after them here. But we noticed that around about 2003, 2002, that out of every 3 people that were using our facilities, 2 of them were using Class A drugs. And it didn't look like there was anything being done for them. So Alison, my partner, came to me one day and said, can we try helping these people? Not coming from a drug using background, myself or Alison, or even being drug trained, I was a bit, what can we do? We don't know anything about drugs. And she said something that's burnt into my mind, it will be there for the rest of my life. Well, we can't do any worse than what's being done for them now. We put a package together. We took it to Walsall Council and they were kind enough to accept it, and 13 years on, here we are, working with this client group.
I'm going to say, what kind of young women generally sort of come through the doors here and stuff? Well,
first of all, they're not all young women. We have ladies come here in the 50s. Not very many, to be fair, but we have a more mature lady coming. The average age, I would say, would be around about 25 years of age. How you would describe them, or how I would describe them, the majority of them, and all this, what I'm telling you, is based on the Manor Project. They have come from usually broken homes, felt like that they've not been wanted at home, felt like they've not been loved, been threatened, or actually gone into care. And then round about the age of 12, 13, 14, fell in with people who introduced them to drugs, and then they find themselves entangled in this problem of drug addiction.
I was going to say, with kind of what is there any common theme you see with the women who are coming here, their kind of backgrounds and stuff
One thing sticks out more than others is the fact that most of our client group has been sexually abused when they were children, and it's a massive percentage. I'm not saying everyone, but massive percentage.
When I watched the video of the working girl from Warsaw, the Naughty Mr. Singh video that went viral, the first thing that sprung to my mind was vulnerability, and a lot of people who commented on the Wall of Comedy where I saw the post was kind of echoing that, saying about vulnerability and stuff. What what does vulnerability mean to you in your kind of line of work?
Okay, well, the vulnerability would be exactly the Mr. Singh video type female. It didn't surprise me, that video, at all. Believe it or not, that's going on every night of the week, all over the country, and probably all over the world.
Yeah, yeah.
Certainly going on in Walsall. Everybody, all the authorities have tried very hard, the police, everybody, to sort of help out, but it just seems something that's not going to go away soon. Vulnerability, the question you asked me, would be that particular girl who's having to do sexual acts for money to support a habit. This client group that we're talking about, very, very low self-esteem, self-worth, none. Coping skills, very, very little coping skills. And it's almost like they've been thrown in the rubbish dump, that nobody wants to help them. And again, I can only speak about Walsall, but when I speak with girls who come from all over the country too here, they tell me that it seems that the emphasis has gone off helping people to exit drugs and more on the support. Pinning that down a little bit closer is that to supply them with the tools to do drugs, supply them with condoms to stay safe. I don't have a problem with that, because nobody wants unwanted pregnancies, nobody wants a HIV epidemic or STI epidemic. But it just seems to me that there's no light at the end of the tunnel. These girls should be given access to places like the Manor Women's Project and be able to have an exit strategy. I'm not saying that they'll all take it, but at least they should be given that option. Yeah, yeah. In my opinion.
Yeah. So talking about like vulnerability, again, that was something that seemed to be cropping up quite a lot when I was looking through the posts. Is there any other kind of like words, like description words that you would kind of associate with this as well? Like,
well, it's sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think sad that's in 2016 we've got kids who have been basically thrown on the scrap heap, and it's almost like there's nothing out there to help them other than persecution, and for men to take advantage of them.
Yeah.
It's just a shame, but what people must remember, they think it'll never happen to me. Me being, obviously, if it's a male, thinking that to maybe his daughter, his wife, his sister. It can happen to anyone.
Yeah, yeah.
It can happen to anyone.
I was going to go on to the next point, is when I initially saw this post of this particular girl on the wall of comedy, the way it was kind of advertised was kind of glamorising it, and a lot of people were kind of picking up on that, and the kind of theme was people like, you know, seeing it as like a comical thing. Why do you think that certain people feel, obviously this video it's not funny and it's not comical, but then why do you feel certain people seem to go this way and opposed to the way of...
I think it's just ignorance. I'll tell you for sure, anybody who's had a problem in the family with somebody using drugs, whether it be male or female, certainly won't be laughing at that video.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those cases that somebody who may be disabled, people will take the mickey and laugh. However, if it's one of their family members or friend, or, you know, somebody close to them, then they don't. I think maybe we have to put it down to, I'm sure there's cleverer people than me that can tell you, but to me, I think it's just human nature.
Yeah, yeah. So bearing in mind this video that went viral, say for example if it was one of the girls who are like staying here at the moment that was in the video, how do you feel like that kind of video, and obviously that kind of widespread of the video, would affect that individual, like just from your experience?
That young girl?
Yeah, so like mentally or like physically, or how that could have an implication on their life, say their recovery or their mental stability moving forward and stuff.
Well, if I think what you're saying, if there was a girl who was living here and that happened,
yeah,
the chances of that happening would be slight, because all the girls here are tested on a regular basis,
right,
every 3 days, and that's so that they can't go into relapse. The most they can have is a lapse.
Right.
if it was one of our girls there, oh, it would, you know, I mean, I think it would just carry on destroying a person who's already been destroyed. I just can't emphasise enough. It's just terrible what's going on out there, and as far as that young lady's concerned, her head will be all over the place. And then you start having problems with mental illness and all sorts of problems.
If you could give a message to not just the Wall of Comedy, I keep referencing Wall of Comedy, but that's just the main site that I saw, and obviously it's got 2.4 million likes and stuff, so it's quite a prominent part of what this kind of whole thing that's gone viral. But if you could give, it's not even a message, sit down and have a conversation with them, like with the Wall of Comedy or someone who's found this funny, like what would you say to them? What would your conversation be?
I would like to think that the Wall of Comedy are not aware of this video, and I'm sure if this message, what I'm saying now, gets to whoever runs that place, I'm sure that they would say, right, that's not for our site. I would certainly hope that. Regarding just a standard member of the public, we're back to ignorance again. I certainly didn't see anything funny in that video.
No.
Nothing at all. But I'm sure it's gone viral. So there'll be lots and lots of viewers. And it's up to the viewers to put the comments. Put the comments up to tell the people how you feel. You'll always have your idiots. You'll always have your idiots who for whatever reasons, maybe they need to look at the mental health page. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of genuine people, like you and me, who look at it and say, you know, what is this crap? Because it is absolute crap. I would hate to think that there was people advertising, you know, like when you watch a video before it comes on. I would hate to think, and I'm sure that if that was so, whoever the advertisers were, if this was brought to their attention, I would be sure that they would want to take it up. I would certainly hope and think that would happen.
How do you feel like, again, go back to these videos, like obviously it got a lot of momentum behind it. How does that feel? Do you feel like in any ways that kind of affects the work you do? Obviously, like the girls here, they're not, you know, still like addicted and stuff like that, but how do you feel it has any kind of like correspondence in a negative way of like the work that you and Alison are doing here, or?
Well, to be honest with you, I think the public looks at drug using girls or boys, that they're deliberately dropping out of society, that it's like the old hippie days, that they're taking these drugs because these drugs do lots for them, and that's not true.
No.
That a lot of the clients we've got here take drugs as a medication for the problems that's occurred in the life when they were younger. So, you know, I don't know whether that answered the question. What you asked. I may have deviated a little bit, but it's going to. The thing is that young lady, I would have thought it would have been what we term off her head. She was probably high on drugs,
right?
And if she wasn't high on drugs, she was probably coming down off drugs, where she starts to withdraw what's called rattling. That's what the slang word is for it. And if she was rattling, that's why she was so desperate to get that £8, I think it was. But you know, I would have no problem with the police looking at that video and going and see the so-called Mr. Singh, if that's his real name, and arresting him for whatever it was, however he picked her up, curb crawling, because it's an offence.
Well, he was hitting her with a stick at one point in the video. That's assault.
Look, these young ladies get raped, they get beaten, they get threatened. You name it, it happens to them. And for the answers to the people who've probably just said, well, it's their own fault, they deserve it for the. If you look into the deeper part of it, one little thing I'd like to say. If there was a young lady living up the road, 4 doors, and she decided to nip down the shop, she was walking down, window cleaner, and he got a bucket cleaning his windows, and he accidentally dropped the bucket. It hit the young lady on the head, and it made her mentally ill. And part of that mental illness was to go and sell her body, because she enjoyed it because of her mental illness. People in the street would be saying, it's a shame for that girl. It was sound, it was normal. But what's happened is she got hit with this bucket and it's made her mentally ill. It's really a shame. That's exactly the same. But people don't see it like that. If they could speak to each of these girls individually, say, why do you think you're on drugs? They'll tell you straight away. Something happened to me when I was a child and I can't get it out of my head. By taking drugs, it gets rid of it. I've never been sexually abused, so I can't comment on that. But I'm not stupid. And I see these girls day in, day out. I interview girls day in, day out. And I think if the general public realised just how much of this was going on, I think they'd be blew away.
Kind of start wrapping things up now, but I was looking on your website and there's well, just a portion of like the success stories and things that the women here have gone on to achieve and stuff. Would you mind sharing a few of your like favourite achievements of people who stayed here? Or
the thing is, we would not be running this project if we wasn't getting success, because it would be a waste of time. It would be heartbreaking. Not everybody makes it who comes to the project. People come second time round, some even come a third time round, and it's also distressing to see the moms with the babies, you know, fighting to try and to stay clean. We've got ladies who've gone on to be counsellors, qualified counsellors. We've got ladies who've gone on to be nurses. We've got drugs workers. We've got ladies who've got married, settled down with children, and they are housewives. I don't know whether that's offensive. I don't mean to be offensive. The political correctness. I think it's called a house.
I'll edit that bit out, mate.
House mechanic or something nowadays. But all we're interested in is we know that they're going to have a half decent life if they're not taking drugs. We've got a young lady here at the moment. She's just done a level 5 in health and social care. That's the same qualification that Alison has, who runs the project. And again, people think that people who've used drugs are washed out and that they're good for nothing. Well, we turn people's lives around here, and we work very closely with our clients. You know, we like to think that it's more client-led than any other project. And we have, like I say, we have clients come from all over the country, and that's thanks to Walsall Council who fund this project, and unbeknown to them or unknown to them, they've saved a lot of people's lives.
One thing I've noticed since obviously I got here in the afternoon, I've been here for a good couple of hours now, and I've spoke to yourself, spoke to Alison, spoke to some of the girls. One thing that I notice is it seems very close knit, and it seems like there's I guess like a family kind of aspect to it and stuff. Like, do you feel like that kind of like close support thing is like an essential part, and so people feel like they have a purpose? You know, I came around, someone came over, so would you like a coffee and stuff? So people like have purposes within here, and they also like kind of support one another. I can tell it's very like close knit. Do you think that's a very like important aspect of like the recovery procedure? Or
well, when we set out to start this project, we really talk about the blind leading the blind. We hadn't got a clue.
Yeah, you were saying earlier.
And the girls sort of basically told us what we needed to do, how we needed to go about, you know, fiddles I could do with the tests and all sorts of different things. Family, we get everybody that comes here on a professional capacity who sits down for half an hour chatting to the girls, say what you've just said. It's like a family atmosphere. And I don't care. If that's getting these girls off drugs, that'll do for me.
Yeah.
And I don't object to places that are run strictly or differently to here. If they're getting people through, fine. You know, even the church, the Christian based ones, fine.
Yeah.
If they're helping girls, good on them. You know, the more the merrier. This is just that. This is how the Manor Women's Project has evolved, and we've got the proof.
Yeah.
And it's not just one or two. It's important, you know. It's important because I think most places can roll out the star. We've got lots of stars. and we really have got lots of stars. We have one young lady who comes in and volunteers Saturday mornings, who come through our project, and she comes in to go through the relapse prevention with the client group that are here, and she does that for no pay. And if you ask her why she does it, she'll tell you, because this place gave me my life back, and I feel I can help other people with my relapse prevention skills, because she's a drugs worker,
right?
And she's a complex case worker, and she's also a smashing person, and she's now our personal, amongst a lot of others, our personal friend.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes. We have a lot of parents who are our personal friends who think that we're God. We're not God. We're just people who, and we're not important. It's important that I say this. We're not important. We're okay. We're not suffering from addiction.
Yeah.
If these girls go back to that life, they stand a chance of dying. They stand, with all the spin-offs from dying, and not necessarily overdosing. That can. We'll look at the poor Ipswich girls not long ago who, met up with that horrible man, and look what happened to them. So there's many ways you can die on using drugs, and that's why we try and fight hard to keep the girls here to get them through the recovery.
I'm going to say as well, we were talking earlier, saying it's not just women we have here. There's you've got different rooms for like toddlers and stuff like that. How does that kind of side of it work in the kind of respects of like the recovery procedure for like the women? Well,
it's the project evolving. We've not always looked after pregnant mums with drug problems. It's probably been about the last 5 years. We were inundated with mums ringing us up, getting upset on the phone saying social services are going to take my baby, can you help me? And we didn't take mums and babies at the time, so what we did, we put it to the group. We put it to the 15 girls who were here at that time. We told them our dilemma, that we were having lots of phone calls from mums who were experiencing drug problems, and the girls agreed. The girls agreed, not us, that let's take 3 rooms and evolve them into mum and baby. We have a mum and baby unit. Mums, luckily we're not too far away from the hospital. Mums have the babies. They usually have to stay in hospital for 5 days to make sure the children are not withdrawing. Then they'll bring the baby back here. Then they use the baby room. And then when the baby starts to get a bit older and maybe starting to crawl, then we've got a toddler's room. And then from the toddler's room, we have a 1-bedroom flat where they sort of live independently. And then once they've gone through that and they're okay, but please don't ask me how long that is, because everybody, they're all individual, right? They're all different. But basically, once they've gone through the 1-bedroom flat, then they move out into the community. And once they've been here, I'm on 24-hour call out. I can get a phone call. That's why I have to excuse myself. I always have to answer my phone and look at my phone, because it could be somebody who's got a problem. And we learnt in our early days, if we can get to that problem, get them back here, it avoids them using drugs. Because unfortunately, particularly when they're new, that's all they know. I've got a problem, I've got no coping skills, I'll use drugs. I'm not making excuses for them. That's how it is. We're not do-gooders at this project as well. I want people to know that. If people don't want to toe the line and get involved in the project and the recovery, we're not an organisation who want people to come in and just sit in the room and ignore them.
Yeah.
That's certainly what we don't believe in. That we want them to come, we want them to get stuck in, and we want them to try. That's all we can do. That's all we say. Come and try, because that's what they've got to do. And it's tough going for some of them. Really tough going.
One last thing. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that maybe we've not touched upon? That obviously, people. Ideally, this is going to go to people who like want to learn more, like myself. But it's also going to go to people like who might have found these videos funny, but like just from like a kind of like overall perspective. Is there anything that maybe we've not touched upon that you like in your experience would like to add, just for people to listen to? Or
well, what I would like people to do, if they can take the time out, is find out where this video is, look at it, and comment. And I think if the consensus of the comments is we don't want this sort of stuff being put on air. Maybe the people who decided to put this video on, maybe the people who's, I don't know whether it's YouTube or wherever it is, you know, all the people that are concerned, we're looking maybe to touch them to say, this is not right. This is not right. And with your little campaign that's going on, I hope that snowballs, because that young lady is somebody's daughter, is somebody's maybe sister, you know, and what we tend to do as human beings is think, well, we're NIMBYs in it, not in my backyard, and that'll never happen to me. But drugs are not on the decline, and it's creeping and touching and reaching out to many people in all societies. It's not necessarily working class people. We've had people come through here from very poor families to people who've got lots of... I've had parents, when we've been full up, say, how much would it cost me then to jump the queue and put a next? Something we wouldn't do. But it gives you an idea of you know, it's people sometimes think, well, that'll never happen to me, that only happens to council house, council estate people. That's not true.
One last thing I wanted to add, we were speaking about before that there's a lady from Leeds who was staying here, and it seems like there's people coming from just outside of Walsall. It's not just a Walsall thing. And I've done a bit of research online, and the kind of thing you're doing, it's like a rehabilitation system, but it has a very good exit strategy. However, unfortunately, it seems like, even though you guys are getting amazing results, it seems like there's no really other place doing this kind of thing in the UK, even though it's really effective. Is there any reason you feel or think why it's not being...
First of all, I'm not aware of anywhere. I'm sure there's somebody else must be doing it. But I think we're a dying breed. I think in Walsall there's 5 organisations that deal with people with drug problems, or there was. 4 of them were like maintaining their addiction. Yeah. I think we were the only one that offered an exit strategy, and I think we touched on this earlier on in the interview, that, you know, I'm all for prevention, you know, giving out condoms, free condoms, giving out drug using kits to stop infection, etc. But I think there has to come a time when they have to be sort of nudged and sort of, well, okay, you know, why not, you know, I mean, the police, Walsall Police will bring girls here who they'll pick up off the streets. We work with police forces all over the country. We partnership with Gloucester Police, share information, and that they're a great police force. That they've done things what other forces haven't done. And we have a lot of time for, they'll do interventions, they'll call on us to go down and do an intervention if they spot a girl 13, 14, 15 who they believe is moving into the wrong crowd. I mean, how good's that? That's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, prevention is better than cure. But I think there's a lot could be done, but again, I think with the current climate of the country, all the money problems, I think drug problems are not going to be up at the front of the queue. No. That's why people like us have to keep doing our best to help these people. And just a sentence or two about, we have girls come from all over the country, and I think that sort of gets closer to what you were sort of saying. Why do people have to come from London, from Northern Ireland, from Scotland, Manchester, Liverpool, to this little rundown place in Walsall? It must be saying something for us. And usually when we, if people ring up for vacancies out of the blue, I always ask them, how did you get our number and name? We're on Frank. I don't know, you're aware of Frank, the government set up, which was a great initiative what they set up. We get people through there, but we'll get people ring us up, and when we say, how did you get our number? They'll say usually one of 2 things. Well, I was at a conference, a drug conference, and I was talking to people, and I mentioned your name, and it was actually spoke on the podium, which is great. Yeah. And the other thing is, well, we've got this girl, and nobody seems to be able to do anything with her. It's one of those 2 things. Right, yeah. There is other things, word of mouth and things, but those 2 things, and we're proud of that, because, as I say, if we can help somebody who everybody else is sort of tried and not been successful with, you know. And I'm sure there's people who could do that with our organisation. There might be girls that go from here and go to another organisation. I'm not bothered. We're not ego trippers.
Yeah.
We're here to help girls get off drugs. And like I say, whether it be an official rehab or a Christian run by, or a place like ours, if they're helping girls, then fantastic. I just worry about the places that masquerade as helping, because I've heard all the horror stories. Oh, we'll do this for you, we'll do that for you. They get them in there and they just sit them up the corner, and basically they become a problem.
Was one of the girls was saying earlier that she's been in other places and they've basically felt like they're being a burden, and it feels like the staff are just there for the money in opposed to like people's welfare and stuff like.
Well, the one issue I have with that, there's certainly in it for the money. I'm not too sure about, because if people want to come into this work for money, there's no money in this work, and I think you'll find that all the workers themselves are on minimum wage. We rely on volunteers. We rely on the clients themselves to help us, to help run the place. You know, we've got cleaning rotas where they do the cleaning. We'll even have that, what we call our senior girls answering the phone, because we're not a massive organisation. I think people would be shocked. I'm sure you could comment on that. You know, we're 4 terraced houses that are adapted to do this sort of work. I'm sure there's 1 or 2 people thinking, wow, how do they get on with this place with neighbours? Well, we have new neighbours regularly moving along the road, and I always speak to neighbours. I always say hello, good morning, and it's not long before they approach me and say, excuse me, I hope you don't mind me asking, but what do you do there? Because I see lots of females going in and out, some with babies. What do you actually do? And when I tell them what we do, they are gobsmacked, because a typical place where drug users are being kept, you envisage in your mind punch-ups outside on the pavements, car horns popping, syringes being dropped about. We get none of that, and I mean it. We get none of that.
Well, even for me, being here, obviously we spoke on the phone and you were like, you know, you're not going to see anything like it before, so I was kind of a bit apprehensive what to expect. But I came in and I was just like, just seems like a group of friends, just home. Yeah, exactly, just feels like a normal home. Like, it doesn't, like you said, it's funny how even like me sort of having my approach on all this, I have this kind of vision in my head beforehand that it might be this, it might be that, but when you get here, it's actually just normal people just sat down having a chat, you know, being like very open. Like, I spoke to the girls and they were like really, you know, really like open and talking about things and stuff like that, and you have yourself. And it's, I think again, these people who might comment on these things negatively will see these people as, oh, you know, like this, the dregs of society or whatever, which is absolute rubbish, because they are generally like, and I can tell you firsthand, I've been here since 12:30, and they're just, you know, nice, polite, kind. Like, as soon as I came in, would you like a drink and stuff? Do you know what I mean? And it's like
it's this stereotyping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because let's be honest. I mean, let's be totally honest. You walk along the street, and if there's drug users there, you see them, and that's what you stereotype. Help them. This is what you get.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, when a new client comes in here, she's very apprehensive, and then within a couple of weeks, she'll be saying, "Do you know something? I was dreading coming here because I had visions of this, but I couldn't believe how, you know." Obviously, people would probably think as well, 15 girls all living together, cool, I bet there's some right aggro. No, there's not.
No, there's not.
We can't afford to allow that to go on, because they take the mind off the recovery. And we've got, in fact, on the troubleshooter, if that happens, I have to, I mean, imagine this scenario. We've got girls in here, and if they broke the rules, we enforce a grounding. Well, can you imagine me saying to a 35-year-old lady,
yeah,
you're grounded? They take it on the chin.
Yeah, they're going to do as well, aren't they?
Well, the thing is, they made the rules.
Yeah,
that was something that I didn't add. All the rules that have been made in here, the girls themselves have made the rules and the punishments.
Yeah.
But what they've allowed us to do is be flexible. On the, you know, it's not like you do this, you get that. You know, they allow us to be flexible. And if I get any problems and I can't deal with it, I'll go back to the group and I'll say I need a bit of help. This is the situation, blah blah blah, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll come to an agreement. But one thing I will say, they are very ruthless with the punishments, and I had to sort of woo initially, because you know they thought that you know, things what I didn't think was really that bad. It didn't justify the punishments what they were, and girls sometimes slip up, and we have a procedure where we'll go along that. If a girl continues to use, then this is not the place for her to be.
Not the time.
And we'll part amicably. And if she wants to come back in the future, we'll be waiting with open arms for her. But we won't accept people from court. If you know that we used to get phone calls all the while from the different courts. We've got a girl here. She needs a bail address. Not interested, because we become the enemy.
Yeah, of course.
And we're not the enemy. We're just ordinary people who saw a problem and who had the means to try and help that problem. And it's gone from strength to strength, and we enjoy our job. We're not a massive organisation, as you discovered. We've not got staff all over the place, and that's why we depend on our volunteers and our senior girls to help us along. And we encourage girls to go to college, because when they leave here, if they've not got a job to go to, then they'll sit on the dole. Boredom. We say boredom equals laziness. Laziness equals drugs. For our client group, I'm talking. For the clients that have come through here, I can't speak for people out there, but we try to get girls, and we try to get them the qualifications. If you look on our website, you'll see a portion. We don't do it anymore because it's something that's happening all the while. It's just to show people what our client group, what we push them to do. And we've got girls who've done level 3s. Well, I'm told 2 level 3s is a pass into uni, I think. Somebody was saying. I mean, I don't know whether that's true. If it's wrong, then I apologise. But it's just great that these girls who most people have give up on, who you were rightly saying that people call them the dregs of the earth. There is life after drugs. That's our motto here. There is definitely life after drugs, and we've proved it time and time and time again. And we'll keep on trying. We love our job. I would hate to think what would have happened to all the clients that have come through here that have been successful. What would have happened to them had they have not sorted their lives out. And by the way, I'm talking about hardcore drug users. I'm not talking about somebody who's just had a couple of spliffs. I'm talking about people who've unfortunately gone to jail, prostitution, rapes, having the children taken from them. I'm talking about hardcore users. I'm not saying we would turn anybody away who wanted help, who wasn't a hardcore user. We will help anybody on drugs, but that is the client group that we take. And drug and alcohol. You know, we've not mentioned alcohol, but alcohol is as bad, if not in some cases worse than drugs.
Right, well, I think that's everything, Greg. But just want to say thank you very much for having me down today, and thank you for enlightening me on so much stuff today. And it's been a pleasure talking to you.
You're welcome.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Nice to have met you.
Yeah, you too, mate.